Today we're going to be looking at the Electro Archon Raiden, or Baal, and we're going to be looking at how you want to be building her, so let's not waste any time and get started. Let's analyze Raiden. Her normals are nothing too special, so I'm actually not going to cover those. First, we're going to be taking a look at Baleful Omen, which is her skill that allows her to deal electro damage and grants the party the Aya Stormy Judgment, which allows any character to deal AoE electro damage as they attack an enemy every 0.9 seconds. What I did find strange was that the cooldown for the skill was 10 seconds, and the duration of the skill was for 25 seconds. However, I'm assuming this is because of its secondary skill, which is that it boosts party members' elemental bursts. It does not seem like it boosts Raiden's based on my calculations. The skill will increase the party's burst based on the burst cost. So for example, Deluxe burst cost is 40, so his burst will be boosted by 11.6% at level 8 talent for Raiden, which is a pretty nice boost. However, what I truly think is broken for Baal is her burst. Basically, her burst has her do a slash, and she enters Musulishin's stance, which changes her normals to Electro Swords. In addition, every time she attacks, she recharges 2.3 energy for her team, up to a max of 11.5 energy for each party member. Now, this is only the case if you have 100% ER, so the amount of energy the team will gain will be boosted due to the ability Enlighten One. However, that's not the broken part. The broken part is that she obtains a ring on her back that will charge based on her party members' bursts and when they regain energy particles and orbs. The reason why this is broken is because from what I can see is that the resolve boosts her burst damage not additively like every other buffs out there, but surprisingly multiplicatively. The reason why I think this is because as I'm testing out Demo Raiden out, the damage of my activation burst can range from 23k crits all the way up to a whopping 44k damage, depending on how much the resolve is charged, which can only really be reached if we're going to be assuming this is a multiplicative multiplier. I do feel like this is intentional from Mihoyo, as this makes a lot of sense on why Musulishin doesn't last that long, because the stance is just freaking broken with that kind of multiplier. Because if it was intentionally additive, as almost all bonuses are, then your activation burst only increases by like 6k versus that whopping 21k from the multiplicative multiplier. Looking at how you want to build her, because of her unique kit, I feel like she's actually pretty easy to build in comparison to other characters based on the availability of artifacts. Her talent Enlighten One is basically telling you that you basically want to be using an ER kit, and the best ER kit in this game is the emblem kit. Hence, I think that if you want to build your Raiden, go for a 4-piece emblem set with either an ER or attack percent sands, attack percent or electric percent goblet, and a crit rate or a crit damage circlet. First, now, what's the huge difference between ER and attack percent sands? You're going to get more damage from attack percent, despite the electro damage bonus from ER. However, it's up to you on how you want to do your trade-off. ER sands will allow you to get your burst more often and will help you buff your party members a little more, while attack percent sands gives more damage to Raiden overall. Now, the reason why you can choose between an electro damage goblet or attack percent is because of her ability Enlighten One, which gives her electro damage based on her ER, which gives you some leeway that you don't need as much electro damage for Raiden, so why not full attack percent, right? Here's how that data looks, and if you look carefully, her skills are stronger with the Electro Goblet, and her bursts are stronger with the Attack Percent Goblet. This is because of the 4-piece emblem set, which gives her diminishing returns for the burst, so the Attack Percent Cup will perform better. However, the word better is vague, right? Because if you look even more carefully, it's just like a difference of like, what, 300 damage for the skill and burst? Hence, why I think it honestly doesn't really matter which one you really use, but it makes it that more simple to help build for Raiden. Nothing surprising for a crit hat, just go for crit damage or crit rate. Whichever one is going to be better to offer that 2-to-1 ratio for Raiden. Now, the last one is what weapon you should use, and I feel like Baal is surprisingly a lot more complicated than it looks like based on calculating for her damage. So we're going to take a look at this. Now, the only weapons that I think you might really want to be thinking about for Raiden or Baal are going to be Primordial, Skyward, Favonius, Blackcliff, Deathmatch, and maybe Prototype Star Glitter if you really don't have a choice. Now, I'm only mentioning these ones. I know there are some other 5-star spears out there, but these are the ones that are more accessible to everyone else. Now, the thing is, I know that you could build a Prototype Star Glitter, but we just got a new patch where everyone should be able to get a polearm called the Catch. And I actually think this would be perfect for Shogun, because it has a great base attack, it has a nice ER, and a great ability, especially from the crit rate boost from a R5 catch for your burst. And since Raiden is going to mainly be using her burst, and a lot of her damage is from her burst as a sub DPS, this is going to boost the damage of her significantly. And even though it's free, it's surprisingly a very strong choice for Shogun. Now, the next one we do have is Favonius Spear. It's a nice alternative if you really can't access a catch at that moment for some reason, but the catch still dominates in almost every way in terms of damage and energy recharge. And then although the skill is a little lacking, it's literally like around 100 damage. Hence, don't be like me and build a Favonius. Blackcliff Pole is next, and it's actually slightly better than Favonius with no stacks. But what surprised me was that a max stat Blackcliff Pole will still do less damage than the catch in terms of burst damage, which just shows how much that burst damage buff and crit rate burst buff elevates it. Now, taking a look at Blackcliff Pole, this really got me wondering if Deathmatch was actually going to be the same way, because like maybe the ER actually has a significant impact on how much damage output you're going to be getting for each of your weapons. And to my surprise, it is actually the worst out of all the weapons I've suggested. I did triple check to see if my math is correct, and I'm pretty sure there's always going to be a calculation error that someone is going to point out in the comment down below that might ruin something. Hopefully it's a very minor calculation mistake. I'm hoping for that. I do think this makes sense, because the consensus that I come across on why this is the case is because of one main thing, which is Deathmatch's low base attack, other than the smaller energy recharge rate. Now, normally this isn't an issue for other characters. However, the energy recharge does play a huge role in boosting Raiden's damage and would still be based off of her attack. So the low base attack plays a role on why it's the worst, because Blackcliff Pole has the same ER as Deathmatch, but since his base attack is higher, it performs pretty similarly to Favonius Spear. Hence, from this, I decided to take a look at Primordial. They're at the same stance, Deathmatch and Primordial. The only difference is Primordial has a higher base attack. And it does look like base attack does play a huge role, as its unbuffed form is pretty comparable to Favonius. Its max stack will still do worse than the R5 catch in terms of the burst, but the skill is definitely stronger than the catch. Now, the last one is going to be Skyward Spine, where it has the exact same base attack as Primordial, but it performs well the whole time, as Skyward Spine does have similar damage output to a max stack Primordial, and this probably because of its ER substat and slight crit rate ability boost. Now, if we were to put everything in the tier list, then I would organize the weapons like this. The fact that Bal can get more actual damage from her ER plays a huge role in how these weapons will differ in damage for her. However, this does not include any buffs and resolve, so only look at this as a guide and don't take it to heart that these are the 100% of what you should be doing. To summarize, Bal is a very interesting character, and she's actually going to be very accessible for free-to-play characters. So you're going to be able to do emblem sets, and you could either do a ER or attack percent sands, or a attack percent or a electric percent goblet. You're stuck with the crit rate and crit damage circlet to maximize her damage, obviously. And then for her weapons, these are the choices that you do have. However, the catch is still a very strong choice, even if some of the rankings change based on the buffs and everything. So I do recommend the R5 catch for this. I hope this was helpful for all of you, and I will see you all in the next video.